It's been 90 days since we moved into this beautiful Airstream.
Everything is broken.
We're gonna go through the Airstream and show you everything that's broken, everything that's been an issue for us.
And at the end, we're gonna tell you the biggest thing that has busted on this Airstream that left Andrew stranded in Montana for an entire month. And we're also gonna tell you if we recommend an Airstream for full-time or partial living.
So speaking of kids, we'll start with the thing that was our fault, or the kids' fault. The screens. Make sure the screens fit in this little groove right here. No matter what we tried, they just kept getting after it. So again, that's an easy fix. They didn't break the screens. We can always tuck those back in. So now we've gotten the one thing that was our fault out of the way.
These blinds are always, I don't know what it is, but like the tension in half of it kind of gets lopsided. Luckily, this is the only one that's done this so far, but I've seen videos where it's every single window. It's like kind of shifted, but this one, you put it up. I'm guessing the rest are gonna be following very shortly after.
Number two are the rivets. These rivets just keep popping out. We are driving down the road, but for the short amount of time that we've been driving in this, it's a significant amount of rivets that have been popping out.
It comes with this nice, where is it? This nice cutting board that fits perfectly over the trash can. Where is it? Obviously, we don't use it. Should fit nicely, bloop, right over here. You can chop everything right into the trash can. Of course, this worked within like 2 washes. Fully drying it out, taking all the precautions, still worked on us. So we're not magicians. You need to be able to cast spells in order to light the burner of the oven and occasionally some of the stovetop burners. Literally, we will be here for so long trying to get this thing to light, and it probably takes about 10 to 15 minutes of just every single time.
We got plenty of propane. We're parked on a level surface, but it's to the point where we just don't bake much at all because it's just so annoying to deal with. Fridge. The fridge has 2 little latches here. They're designed to not let the fridge and freezer just fly open. The fridge will just fly wide open and flies open while we're driving every single time without fail. And all of our stuff from the fridge, eggs and whatever is in the fridge, just ends up all over the floor.
The next one is not the couch, but what's underneath the couch. When we first moved in here, we were trying to boondock and try to figure out the inverter.
It's a smart home, so they have a it's called C-Zone is the name of the technology. The power inverter that Kat mentioned, what is supposed to be turned on and off by that. We kept turning it on, it wouldn't turn on. So I ended up having to lift up, take the couch apart, unscrew the wood panels, get down there and manually push the on button on the inverter, close everything up. Thought it would then be controlled by the C-Zone. I couldn't turn it off with the C-Zone, so it just stays on 24/7.
And then we just kind of have little cosmetic things here and there, like our closet. At the very base, like all of this just totally came apart off the wall, so now it won't shut. If we go to the bedroom, all of this stuff is kind of coming out of the wall, getting super loose. This was a super cute little lamp. It does still work, which our kids love to play with, and it just kind of lives down here.
Speaking of lamps, we have this beautiful little accent lamp off to the right. It should be the same off to the left. This right here snapped off on the other one, and it just ended up falling down and shattering here. Now we don't have that anymore. So that'll be another warranty item to get fixed. This is the 3rd shower seal that we've had here. It's just a very poor design, and that's just a common problem with those shower seals. They all break, and dealers are constantly replacing them, and they charge 15 bucks per seal. Basically just ineffective at the bottom at keeping water in, essentially.
So I feel like we've just been like rapid firing everything that's been, well, that's what this video is about, everything that's breaking in the Airstream. Aesthetically, it's a beautiful place to live in. We do love it. It's nice to live in. Has a lot of issues. She's a problematic girl.
Yeah, that's how most bad relationships go, is
It's a toxic relationship.
yeah, it's toxic, but they're really hot, and so you stay with them, right? Let's talk about one more negative thing. That's the axles and the brakes. That's actually the issue that left me stranded for almost a month when we first got this thing. We bought this back in May, didn't pick it up until July because I'm in the military, couldn't travel, all that. Ended up driving down from Alaska to Utah to pick this up from the dealer that we bought it from. I showed up to pick it up. They didn't give me any kind of tour. It was missing a bunch of stuff. All of that can be fixed. The one thing that was a huge problem was I got 2 states down the road. I got to Montana, and I had one wheel lock up on me, blew out the tire. Long story short, Airstream sent it off to be towed to the dealer without burnishing in the brakes at all. The brakes got driven across the country, got burnished in wrong. Evidently, according to the manufacturer of the axles and the brakes, damages the axles and the brakes. So I actually ended up having to leave it in Montana for 6 months. Then we came back in January, picked it up, and ultimately, here we are. Initially, ended up costing me a massive amount of money, literally a drive across the entire continent. I was unable to take this back to Alaska. We were unable to use it for the whole fall in Alaska. And it was probably the most frustrating and the most costly exchange that I've ever had with any company at all, especially when the price tag of this thing is what it is.
Wait, there's more. Do you want to talk about the door?
Oh yeah, the door.
Close.
So we had this issue, didn't know why it was happening. The door just became increasingly difficult to open. This is unlocked, that's locked. So when you pull it unlocked, it sits right there. It's actually partially locking by itself whenever you close the door and pushing up against the latch plate, bending the latch plate. And there you see, closed it, and it's starting to slide over. The dealer told us that a lot of people will end up fabricating something to stick in here, wood or metal, to prevent that from being able to move at all, and that way they can keep the issue from getting any worse. When we do go into the dealer here, they're gonna go ahead and replace the latch plate for us.
So another pro of this Airstream, super cute, is it has a blackboard that you can write on with chalk. And the boys do that and they like it. $170,000. Got a nice blackboard.
I'm thankful that nothing bigger has gone wrong since the axles.
We've been plugged into this RV site for over 2 weeks now, and our battery is at 70%. And that has been the case at every single, we thought it was just a coincidence, every single RV site.
The charge controller just isn't working. So it'll work intermittently, and we're just not getting a charge for, 2/3 of the time that we're plugged in. So the 1/3 of the time that we're plugged in, every now and then it'll spike the batteries up to full, and then we'll die down to 60, 50, 40%, and then it'll kick back up again eventually. Where it's really frustrating is when we're boondocking and we stop for one night to plug in at an RV park, and then we're hitting the road again for 2 nights, and we wake up and we're like, the battery didn't charge. We're only at 10%, 15%. We do rely on boondocking when we go across the country. Many times we want to stop in places that don't have RV parks, or we don't want to pay $120 for an RV park, especially if we're in a very expensive area, and that's the charge controller not working has actually been a huge expense to us. We probably spent $500-600 just in this last leg from Carolina to Florida to Texas, just in stopping for additional places to charge and or gas for the generator.
What Airstream is packaging up and selling to people for the price tag is their amazing quality, their long-standing history of having these things last for generations, knowing what we know about
what they're actually delivering.
Well, what they're actually delivering to the customer, 100% no. I would personally say, do we regret buying this Airstream? 100%. 99% yes. Too harsh? I don't know.
Well, I would say this. Let me address your last question here. Do we regret buying the Airstream? And I would say no.
No?
Absolutely would never buy another Airstream again.
Oh, okay.
Largely because of the seed zone technology. We're not a big fan of that.
Don't trust it.
We don't trust it. It goes out on people. When it goes out, you got to wait for parts. Just a couple grand to replace just the little panel, the little iPad panel on the wall. Unfortunately, there are more negatives for us to share about Airstream and about our camper than positives. But for the price tag, they can do better. So, if I were to recommend something to somebody, I would say go for a different brand or buy an older Airstream and just renovate it. The choices of materials at the factory are not something that represents the price tag, in my opinion. So I would opt to just build one myself, buy another brand, that's it. So anyways, we'll be doing more videos in the future, happier videos on our Airstream. For now, we wanted you to hear the bad from us first, and then we'll get into some of the things we love about it and some of the cool places we've taken it. And we are very grateful to have this camper. It's amazing. Some of the issues that we're having definitely are prohibiting us from being able to actually live on the road in it. So anyways, without further ado, we'll cut this video here. Hope to see you in our next videos.